we're going to talk about your guys' experience at 2018 One Camp with
Two
the
Kizzle?
Yeah, the
Two Kizzle.
Two Kizzle.
Two Kizzle.
Yeah.
Two
2K Izzle.
Go ahead and stop it.
No, it's
Yeah.
two Kizzle.
And what was the theme this year? It was revealed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So let's start with Ali is trying to.
The whole table was shaking.
Oh, that's fine. No, I don't care.
It's
This
Jesus.
is it's an earthquake.
Maybe.
Holy Spirit.
All right. So this is gonna be my first question, to you guys. How was this camp different, or how was this year's camp different from last year's camp?
Alrighty. So, for me, I mean, like we did the last debriefing. Last year was just so supernatural. I mean, that is my testimony. That's where I, for the first time, experienced God in my life. And so it was just one major thing after the other every day, like almost 1 hour to the next. It was something going on. And so this year coming back, it was really weird because I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
I knew God wouldn't be working the same way in my life that he did last year. First and foremost, because I'm not the same person I was last year, but also because God doesn't like repeating himself.
Yeah.
But so I went into this camp not really knowing what to expect, but trying to keep an open mind.
Mm-hmm.
And this camp just taught me a lot about having a relationship with God and more about how he is a father and like son relationship.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Nice.
Okay. Okay, so this year for me was more about learning than like experiencing. And so like the last 2 years for me have really been like God revealing stuff to me. Like my future and all that. But this year was about learning to trust him more and like not worry about stuff so much. So like if I'm gonna have a future or like if I'm gonna have a wife or stuff like that, like I just kept getting a lot of like he told, I think he told me directly, it's like trust me in all things, don't worry about it, like seriously. I literally felt him be like, dude, I got you, it's all good, you know. So
That's cool.
I would say this camp was more, what was, to piggyback off Peyton, was less about the power of God and more about the love of God. I definitely went into camp hoping and knowing something cool and good would happen,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't go in with any predetermined like what I wanted to happen.
Yeah.
And then like the first 2 days there were super long. I didn't want to be there. I was just like super just out of it. And then like right towards the end of Tuesday, I started like getting just like hit with God's love, and Dakota and Cameron were pretty relentless about like just not letting me sit in that like dead space. Just like that band of brothers rallying around me was super dope. So yeah, this one was mostly about just the relationships I would build with both God and just people in general, and just his love.
I heard you say earlier that like even kids at Campbell that you didn't have a relationship with, you go to this camp that's an hour and a half away.
I know. Took 3 years and 5 days.
Right. Yeah, that's funny that you make friends with people that you go to school with, and then at a camp that's far away. It's cool stuff. All right, so do you guys kind of want to go through? We can kind of pick a couple different ways. We could go through almost like a day by day, or we could do highlights, kind of whatever.
I like the highlights.
Highlights?
day to day is gonna
Okay.
be longer.
Cool. All right, who wants to go first with like camp highlights for what?
I can start.
Cool, I love it.
Save the best for that.
I mean,
For sure.
we can just keep rotating.
Yeah.
So, where to start? Morning service. So we have service in the morning and the night.
Okay.
Was led by, what's his name is Robert. Is it Robert? No, it's not Robert. Steve. Something.
Steve.
Rick.
Was he the short, kind of like shorter guy, but he's really buff?
No. It's like big beard.
Okay.
I mean, not big beard, but it's
Steve
full-
Hambrick?
Oh, wait a minute. I
Hambrick,
think I
that's
might
what
have.
it was.
Okay.
I know it's something right.
Call him Turkey Cinder Block.
Yeah, Turkey Cinder Block.
Turkey
for
Cinder
sure.
Block.
Hambrick. Anyways, so he did.
That's his nickname.
Are y'all laughing at the nickname or me?
Yeah.
Yeah, nickname.
Oh, I thought you were all laughing at me. Okay, anyways. So no, not me. he did a service every day on the Holy Spirit. So it was Monday, Tuesday, 4 of them.
Wow.
It was the Holy Spirit speaks, Holy Spirit comforts, Holy Spirit empowers,
You were way too invested. I did not remember.
and the Holy Spirit convicts. That's what it
Oh,
was.
nice.
Not in that order.
Right.
Empowers was the last one.
Wow.
Convicts was yeah. So he did a service on each of those, all about the Holy Spirit, and it was all saying, do we have like a confident expectation that God is who he says he is, and that we are who he says we are. And so I really enjoyed all of his service. He's a very intense person, so it's different. So my biggest standout moment is last year. It was that vision that I got with the darkness and everything. My standout moment this year was on like Monday. I was saying, like, God, you are who you say you are. You created everything around me. I want to hear your voice. Like in my ear, audibly, I want to hear your voice. And I got down on my knees during the worship service at the end. I said, I'm not moving until you say something. And then the song ended, and I got up. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep praying, like every night before I go to bed, every morning before I get out of bed, like for you to speak to me. And the very next night, I don't remember what the service was, but I ended up going to pray with Mason. And during that prayer, Mason said, I'm going to pray Father's blessing over you. And just imagine it's God's voice speaking in your ear.
Amen.
And I'll say that, I was just like, yep, that hit home. And so I talked to Mason about that the next night, because we all went to Waffle House together. And it's a tradition that college goes to Waffle House. So, he spoke the Father's blessing over me, and it was just him speaking joy and love into my heart and my life, and just receiving the joy of God. So this camp for me, like we were saying earlier about stand out, like how it wasn't a supernatural, but since last year, over the course of like my walk in the past year, somewhere along there, like in my search for God, instead of walking in a relationship with him, it's kind of turned into more of a like understanding him in a knowledge-based way. Yeah. And so during this camp, he showed me the primary thing is that it's not about how much you know about me; it's about how close we are in a relationship.
That's so cool. That's huge, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm a little bit like you. I go back, but I probably am more 50-50 between like maybe Micah and you. Micah is much more experienced. You're much more knowledge. And I'm like 50-50 because I need both. But that's really cool that you are kind of like feeling that. I understand for you, that's probably not natural as much to drift towards the
I definitely see the importance of it after camp, though. And so
that's so cool. Pay no attention to Ollie. She's petting me. She doesn't like that I'm inserting myself in this video. Oh, baby, I'm being interviewed, kind of. All right. So who wants to talk next about their experience? All right.
Micah?
And here, ladies and gentlemen, we have a classic Mexican standoff.
Why can't I not do this open?
Do I need to pause the video? Hey guys,
Waiting on Dakota.
All right, fine.
you're the guest of this house. You do as we say.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Micah loves manipulation.
Only Dakota.
He did
Oh,
love
it's okay.
Only me. Dude, this culture my boss one.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So, like I said, this camp was more about trusting God, and so the two really big things that have happened were, well, I think it was the first or second day you came and prayed for me, and he spoke to me. He told me that God said to him that I need to stop because I was having to be honest, I was having trouble like socializing and like fitting
At
in.
camp, or you mean just like in general?
In general. Like, obviously I was fine with Micah, but like sometimes I just felt like I wasn't like I was like off-putting, I guess. And so Micah prayed over me because he obviously knew something was up because he knows me. And he was like, God told him that he has already healed me, but that I haven't accepted it. And that I need to like stop get putting it all on myself and just give it all to God, and like to just focus on Him, and so I've done that, and it didn't. My quality of life did improve. And then the second really big thing that happened was, well, actually, there's three things. The second thing that happened was, you remember when we were like all laying on the ground?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, that happened, and as soon as I laid on the ground, it was my voice, but it wasn't like I wasn't thinking the thoughts.
Back me up real quick. So you guys know what laying on the ground is, but we don't know.
We were basically prostrating. That's what he called it.
So it's when we were laying on
the pastor Daniel, he said that it was praise.
Was Daniel? It was Daniel. That's right.
Yeah. Praise is the closest thing we could get to like what the Greek translation was. He said, but another word for it is prostrate. So he invited everyone struggling, he said, with an idol, something that you are putting above God, just to lay prostrate on the ground. So there are pictures of literally hundreds of kids.
It's the word for it. It's when you idolize something. Put on a pedestal.
Idolatry is that's a biblical word. Yeah, I get it. That's cool though. Okay.
And so it's just like literally all of the floor is taken up. Like people were moving chairs so that
we ended up going behind the stage.
Thank you for explaining it, bud. Because I wouldn't have known.
He said prostrate, and I was like, yeah, they.
No. But you created the whole picture. Now I can see what's going on. I'm there. Cool. All right.
Okay, so as soon as I started laying down, I heard my voice I hear in my head when I think, but it wasn't like me like thinking those thoughts. Like you know what I mean?
I totally do.
Okay.
So you know when God like breaks in your brain space.
Yeah. And like he just immediately hit me with like, dude, just trust me in all things, and he just gave me these examples, like trust me when it comes to like life or your acne. You know, I have self-esteem problems with that, or socializing, or like finding the one. And he was just like, trust me in all things. Don't worry about it. I got you. Literally, that's what he said to me. And so I just thought that was kind of soothing, that I really don't need to worry. Like, God's got my back. He's my best friend. He's my number one fan.
Yeah.
And then I guess the third time was when I actually was talking to this one counselor that was named, I don't know his real name, because in this culture you can't use your real name. So he goes by Junior. It's hard to explain. He goes by Junior, and I've known him for 9 years. I was part of his youth group at Riverstone. And so I came up to him and he was like, hey man, and he just started praying over me, and he was like, and he told me to like focus on God, and like all those other things that I desire will come. So that really impacted me too.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Seems like it's kind of like the theme of the whole thing for you, dude. Really cool. It's awesome. All right, Micah, what were your moments?
I did the laying on the ground thing too. I didn't expect it to be as great as it was. I'll be honest. Like when I started over there, I was just like, sweet, a reason to lay down. And then like at first I started with, because it was like, yep, nose on the ground, everything, you're just down. And so then my like face was really hurting because once, and then so I was like, this is not gonna work. And so I put my hands like this, and I was like just off the ground enough, but then all of a sudden I felt like I was just like not in the room. So what's crazy is like everyone else was having this moment the same as I was.
Wow.
Everyone was talking, everyone was just being loud, the music was playing. I don't remember hearing any of it. Like I just remember like being gone, but not seeing anything, just like pitch black. And I remember just having this conversation and hearing God, like he would finish my sentences, like, so I would be like talking and I wouldn't have to explain something. So I'd be like, and then God, whenever, that happened, for instance, that was an example, like stuff like that was happening when I was praying with him. And I thought that was really cool. It became like conversation. And then I'll go again because one of us has to. Later, I can't remember if it was that night or another night, but later, the 12th grade guys, Evan, who was really impactful. I really enjoyed his presence. He's a new friend. Evan had this idea because we were bunking, the seniors, rising seniors, are bunking right next to the rising freshmen.
And is Evan, which one's he?
You don't know.
No, Evan, is he a rising senior?
He's a rising senior.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Evan had the idea that the seniors should go pour into the freshmen.
Awesome.
Which I love all those little dudes. All those dudes follow me around and like we hang out and it's cool. And so I was totally for it. But then like everyone in our cabin started sharing with each other. And so I'm sitting with the freshmen waiting for everyone to show up and no one did. And so Junior comes over and he's like, me and you, man, we'll get this thing going. So I was like, sweet. And so Junior came in and he was like, so what are we supposed to do? Because he didn't have any clue either. And I was like, we're supposed to just pour into them, ask them questions or fears that they have going into high school, anything like that. And he was like, cool. So he sits down and then he starts off and he goes, the man you're going to hear from soon. And I knew he was about to pin everything on me. He goes, he's been through a lot of things. He hadn't heard my story.
He doesn't know your story.
Doesn't know my story. All these things just starts hyping me up like a lot. And I'm like, wow, I really have to live up to his standards now. And so, and then he like shares some things and then he hands it over to me and it went great. Like these kids started just eating out of the palm of my hand. Like, and it was surprising because I just started like getting this wisdom for things that like I just hadn't thought about in a while or just like ever. And then other seniors started coming in. I know Dakota came in, some like other ones. And then Junior had the idea of like instead of sitting in a big room and we raise our hand and like everyone makes a turn, we just split into groups. So like one senior would get like 2 or 3 guys. Well, there were these 2 kids that wanted to come with me, like, or just kept asking me lots of questions. So Junior was like, you 2 go with him. And so we went and sat up on top of these bunk beds. And it was, I did not expect one of them was going through a lot of things. And the other one was just like simple questions, just like, how do I make friends? Who do I talk to in the halls? Like he had no idea what to expect. And the other one was he had just moved from Georgia. So like he had been, like his whole life was in this community. He knew all those guys. And his family just uprooted him, put him in Alabama. In a all-white school, party town, retirement like town.
Was he white or was he some other?
White.
Okay.
And so he gets there and he realizes very quickly in order to fit in, he has to do the wrong things. And so he just immediately started doing them. And then he said one thing that like kind of went against the grain, and he got death threats. He was told to kill himself, like all these things. This kid's not even in high school yet. Wow. And like he was basically, and he's just so quiet, and you can tell he's just lost it. Like his life just is drained from him, and like his eyes are just like droopy. And I just felt so bad for him because I remember last year and he was just the happiest go lucky kid, like, you know, he was just super popular. And it was super like I was able to like give him some of my testimony and I was able to pour into him and he really liked it. And so that was great. And I basically ended up I'm not gonna lie, I got mad at Jesus a lot this camp because there were some people I came in contact with that they're super great people. Like individually, I would say probably the best people like I've ever met.
Wow.
Like great-hearted, could not find a flaw in any of these people, and they had the crappiest situations, like things they can't control. And it made me so mad. I remember like fighting tears, and I would go to God and I'd be like, I know you didn't do this, but you could just snap your fingers. Like, and it just, anyway. But so then all these kids just randomly started coming up to me and they're like, yeah, last year you gave me this prophetic word and it's been sitting with me. Like all these kids that I didn't even remember all these things. And so like at this point I was still in this like place of like, ugh, I don't know if I really want to be here. Yeah. And all these kids just start coming up to me with their testimonies. And they had no idea I wasn't happy. I wasn't like in a good place. And they just started being like, yep, you impacted me like this, you impacted me like this. And all these like, even like counselors were like, yeah, dude, you impacted me like this, you impacted me like this. Like all these people that I didn't even like realize. Yeah. I didn't even remember that I baptized Cameron and I didn't even remember that. And he was
at one camp last year you did? Wow.
And he was telling me a story to someone. And he goes, and when I got baptized, he goes, actually Murph did it. And I was like, I didn't even remember that. Like, I baptized him in the pool. I totally forgot about that. Yeah. And I think Dakota helped me too. Like it was just like, I forgot how many experiences we've had at this camp. Yeah. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
How did it end up for you? Like, you had several moments of being angry at God. Like, how's your heart now?
I'm still upset. I'm not gonna lie. I met this phenomenal it's hard for me to talk about because I almost cried just thinking about her. But her name's she is genuinely, up until this point, the greatest person I've ever met.
Wow.
True story.
True story.
Hmm.
She's first of all, let's just get this out of the way. She's beautiful.
Hmm.
She truly is. And then she is.
All three.
Oh yeah. No.
You're all
Every
like-
guy was right around her.
Yeah.
Really, that's number one. Number two, sweetest person. I'm not even joking. Sweetest person I've ever met. There was this guy there who suffers from cerebral palsy on his left side.
Yeah,
And
he's a cool kid.
Autism, and he's like everyone calls him Flexi Sexy because he's pretty buff and he wrestles. But this
Flexes
kid,
everywhere he goes.
he spits his game. He tries to pick up every pretty girl he comes in contact with, and this girl, I was like,
Dakota.
I was trying to find a flaw. I was trying to find a flaw. She never got short-winded. She always listened to every word he had to say. She always laughed at every joke. Like she was just the sweetest person. I can't say, but she opened up to something. She opened up to me, which I didn't see coming, but she opened up to me. Well, first off, let me go back. God had been laying her on my heart heavy, and I got this image for her, and for some reason, I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I just felt like something was off. I didn't know what the image meant, but it gave me a hint that something was off. And so ever since then, she was on my heart, and I finally got to talk to her, I think Wednesday, and she opened up to me about stuff that is currently and has always been happening in her life, and that she's never told anyone before.
Really?
And it broke my heart because everything in me wanted to be the little protector that I am deep down inside, and like step up and just like handle everything for her. But I was like, I just told her I was going to pray because that's all she wanted me to do. And just the fact that she knows someone knows and she has that friend really meant a lot to her. She was like crying every time I talked to her just because like she knew I knew, which was super, super great to know. And like basically I was just going to say like, and then anytime I tried to come to God to like pray for her, I couldn't help but be mad at him. Because like it felt like I had met Jesus and he was going through like the things that she was telling me, and like I was like, Jesus, like why? Like it doesn't make sense because she seemed so innocent. She just seemed like a child, and she's my age. She's in my grade, and she just seemed like a 4-year-old who has like nothing to worry about and like wasn't offended by anything, and she was going through all this stuff. And it just was not fair. I refused to believe that she needs or should be going through any of it, and it just pissed me off. But yeah, so I'm still struggling with that. I'm still praying for her, and I know it's not God's fault. I've already told him that. Like, I'm not blaming you, but I'm like wondering why and how can like I intercede. But yeah, so there was that. And then the guy I was talking to about like how he goes to school and he's received all these death threats and all that stuff, and like I'm like, this kid, sure he's got his flaws, like he's not anything like the girl, but sure he's got his flaws, but he doesn't deserve this. Like
So it was just out of curiosity with this kid who moved back to he was here in Atlanta in a very multicultural environment. Then he goes there in a very white environment, and so
it threw him off.
And it threw him off. So he's carrying his kind of diversity mindset into a place that's not diverse. Is that what's getting him in trouble?
Yeah.
All right, interesting. Super sad. That's heavy. Yeah, that's heavy. All right. Any back to you, I guess, Pete. Other moments, things that stand out. I know you have your whole notebook full of notes. Anything that's kind of popping in your brain?
My notebook was mostly just sermons. I wrote down like big events that happened, but as a general rule, like, I mean, because it's not like last year, because last year there were just so many stories of like God did this, then God did this. This one is just kind of a slow walk, and so it's hard to journal a slow walk.
Yeah,
it feels more real.
It does.
Can I just say that?
It
That's
feels
awesome.
like a lot more real. I will wholeheartedly agree with that. This year at camp, the whole thing felt more real because last year was so surreal. There was just so much to take in that this year I just kind of stopped and smelled the roses a little bit more. And so I definitely appreciated that it just, because this is my last camp as a camper, And so.
Do you think you'll come back as a counselor?
I think so.
Awesome.
But it was a lot of fun, and the entire week I loved. It started off with the entire thing we all got there. Actually, side note. So I walk up there, and one of the head counselors, his name's Skip. His name's Francis, but he goes by Skip. Anyways, so I walked up there, and he thought I was Josiah. So he's like, "Hey, Josiah," because I have my sunglasses on. I was like, "I'm Peyton," but it's okay. I haven't seen you in a year, so I don't really mind. I barely remember your name. So he asked me what my last name was. I'm like, Scoggins. So he said, "Oh, so it's like Scrotum, but just change a little bit." I was like, "Yeah, I've never
I
heard."
remember it.
Yeah, I was like, never heard that one before. But yes, it is.
Scrotum.
So that is the first conversation I had with somebody whenever I got to camp.
I love it.
Welcome to camp.
Yeah. Well, because kid, Mr. Scrotum. But it actually started off like the whole camp thing really heavy because we all got together and Skip was like, "All right, what's God been doing in y'all's lives this past week? Not past week, past year."
Yeah.
And so I was getting ready to say, yeah, like the entire theme last year, other than Rooted, was like make it a movement, not a moment. And I was excited because I was like, I'm still pursuing God the same as I was whenever I left camp.
Yeah.
And then this other guy, who was the second one in line, he said, "This has honestly been the worst year of my entire life." He's been going to camp since he was in 7th grade. And he was just like, every part of it sucked. Like, parents are doing horrible. School has been horrible. I'm on the football team, and I got injured a bunch of times. The coach hated me, like wouldn't even look me in the eye. And so like it started off heavy.
Yeah.
And it was just a climb up after that. But everything ended great. I got really close to Toby and Peter, if you don't know who they are, but they're both awesome. He's a G. He really is. He's like the sweetest guy ever. And I mean, he's 6'6".
I got a great word for him.
Were you showing him your car,
Toby?
like lifting the hood?
That was Mason. Mason worked on cars when he was in high school.
We drove up and
The Pastor Mason or different Mason?
No, Pastor Mason.
Oh, that's cool.
And so that was the first thing I met Mason is he asked me about my car, and because I was turning my keys in, he saw the logo on the back, and he's like, "You have a Mustang?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so we talked for like an hour and a half just about cars and different dream cars. And
So great. Such guy talk.
oh yeah, and so he had been begging me to look into the hood because he wanted to check it all out. And
That's
so
cool.
we finally lifted the hood. And as we were there, some other guy walked up, and he was like, "I used to have a Mustang back in the day." And I'm like, "Yep." And I said, "Let me guess, you had kids." He said, "That's exactly what happened." There were so many people who tell me that.
What? Oh, yeah.
All honesty, they had Mustangs in like 2000, and then they got pregnant and had to get rid of it right after they got it. Like, that is a real thing. I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a family car.
No.
Yeah, no, it is not a family car.
Yeah.
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
I'm 6'3", and I had to fit in the back of that. It was
Yep. And so, anyways, it was just the entire week was fantastic, and I'm very glad that I was able to go.
Heck yeah,
So
man.
how is your heart?
That's nice. Yeah, it's good.
Mine's nice.
Beating.
It's still beating.
I loved how what was the pastor guy's name?
Daniel? Mason.
No,
Scott.
Daniel. The one that was
Confirm or
preaching
deny?
last night. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. He I loved how he was saying last night that you have those moments that are like it almost describes like your 2 years at camp, but you have those moments that are just like super high and God showed up in an instant, and then you have those other things where it's like, or those other moments where it's just kind of that slow revelation over time. And so in post camp, this year is like much more subdued than post camp last year, where we literally sat at this table for like 4 or 5 hours
Yeah.
with story after story. I can read you like a book, so I already know exactly what you're thinking and feeling, but like I'm curious as to like, heart wise, are you leaving full? Are you leaving tired? Are you leaving like wanting to pursue more? Or are
Definitely exhausted. That's a
Yeah.
given. But
Facts.
no, my heart's just very content, very just happy and at peace. Just knowing like moving forward in life, and just what all God, I don't want to say revealed because it wasn't a huge revelation, but just the understanding that I got. During this whole week.
Did
It
you-
is huge. It just may not be
For me,
as-
it was huge.
I was just going to say the revealed thing though wasn't about God being revealed. It was about you being revealed. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So you being revealed as the Son of God is part of that is deeper relationship,
Yeah.
right? Because knowing whose you are
Yeah.
instead of who He is two different things.
What's crazy for me is things that, I mean, going on the Bible Belt, like you hear your whole life, you're the son of God, son of King,
Yeah.
and just like, I mean, everybody knows it, but
Yep.
understanding that.
Yeah.
I mean, like Josh Turner was saying, that it took him like 25 years to realize that he was the son of the King.
So cool.
And he said it's 3-4 words to wrap your mind around and fully comprehend.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Some people spend their whole life to get that one revelation,
Mhm.
and it's the most impactful one. It's huge.
Dakota, what about you?
What do you mean?
Post camp. Like, how's your heart? How are you feeling right now?
I'm
Other than tired.
a lot of emotions. Not all of them good. But, I don't know if I'm ready to talk about it right now.
That's fair.
But I definitely feel like I can hear God's voice more.
That's good.
I had another moment I forgot about.
Okay.
All right, so this was last night, and I forgot. I wrote down the lyrics to the song because I couldn't remember the song. But basically,
Can we just all acknowledge the fact that Peyton didn't even listen to music when he came here last year?
I told so many people that this week.
It's huge.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And now you're like, let me read the lyrics.
Okay, well, it's part of the story.
No, I think
So,
it's great.
That's awesome.
Impressive.
it was the last song that was played, and so I was up front, like I was one of the first people up there because I wanted to be up front. Yeah, and then I saw Micah on the screen because he was right in front of the camera. It's a funny story. I told Micah this. I look up and Micah's hugging somebody. And I'm like, what the crap? And I turn around and he's like full on embracing. And I'm just like, we're at camp. I'm not really sure if you're supposed to be like embracing a girl. But I mean, dang, Micah, like, good job. And then the hug breaks. And there's Reagan. I was like, boo! I literally point my arms in a triangle. And I start just pushing people like that. And then I get to like the front of the chairs and I see, that's me? No, that's Mike. I see people lined up like
Jason Hamill, by the way, posted that onto my Facebook feed.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's a couple. There's that one.
Can you see?
Yeah.
I can't see the
That was the
Dakota was
biggest.
trying to tell me
That's
what's
the greatest
funny.
one.
I'm
That needs to
looking
be
at
your
the
Facebook
screen
one.
right
Yeah.
there and not realizing I'm up
Yeah,
there.
I had to let
I'm
it
reading
go.
the lyrics and Dakota's like pointing at the screen. I'm like, what?
I'm reading the lyrics.
I pointed at the screen to you.
Yeah, and I didn't get what you meant. I was like,
Dude, it's literally you.
Anyways,
How can you miss
I
it?
literally forged myself through the entire crowd. I get to the seats, like right in front of me, and I look to my right, like where the walkway is. There's dozens of people right there. And I look around, I just go straight through all the seats. I just start walking on top of them. I go to Ray and give her a hug, and then I give you a hug.
Yeah.
Well, it was great. And so the entire rest of the night, I was like trying to work my way back to the front because there's so many freaking people up there.
Yeah.
Side note, the 7th graders keep taking the college guy's spot in the worship center.
Yeah.
The college guy's spot. We sat there the first 3 days in the same spot. And the last 2 days, the 7th and 8th graders were like, I want to sit up front. But anyway, Josiah literally walked up to one of them.
Senior.
Yeah, it was Thursday night. He said, this is where the college guys are sitting. I'm going to need you to move. He literally looked up at Josiah and then looked beside at me. And I was like, we are all sitting on the row. You're the only one. And so he got up and moved. But so I got back up to the front, and this is the entire story part. And so I was sitting there, and there's this guy like right there, still blocking me. And they were singing, the lyrics were, I forgot again, it's faithful you are and faithful
Oh, yeah.
forever you will be.
Yeah.
Love that
And
song.
so, and so I was like, you know what? And so I moved the guy, and I go and I stand in the same spot where I got that vision last year.
Ooh.
And I just sat there for like a solid 30 seconds and just kind of reminisced.
That's awesome. That's really good.
The lyrics just were so fitting.
Remembering God's promises.
That's cool. I was gonna say, and you guys don't have to agree with this. You can tell me if you have a different
I
take.
don't agree.
Good.
Yeah, probably not.
Moving on. So, point made. No, I just think it's interesting. It's Peyton most specifically, but Micah too, it felt like last year you needed the God is real supernatural moments, like real breakthrough to know, that this wasn't like a game that some adults had invented or whatever, you know what I mean? And I feel like this year you guys have been in a good place overall, and so it's cool to me that the camp kind of matched where you guys were in a lot of sense of like, all right, now we know God's real. Now let's work on deepening the relationships. Anyways, I thought that was kind of cool.
So for me last year, I mean, I was going in a hot mess. Like I was broken and I hated myself so much. And if I had experienced this year, like last year, like what I got out of it this year, if that had been reversed, I probably would have walked out and been like, that was a nice camp. Like it gave me all the warm fuzzies, but like I would have gone right back home. Those warm fuzzies would have been gone, and I would have been just as miserable this entire year.
Yeah.
But
So
instead, I saw God. I felt the power of God, and I knew His promises leaving that camp. And so it was something more tangible that I could hold on to instead of just like a little warm feeling in my heart. Whereas this year, like I already knew that. Like I've been growing in my faith since then.
Yeah.
And so that's what I needed, was just God saying my love for you is still there.
It's amazing. That's so good. So good.
That's all you.
Yeah. I was gonna say I definitely went in. Dang it! You threw me off.
It's all good. It's all.
Sorry. Yeah.
Just
For sure. Finish up your part.
Oh yeah, I went in. Whenever the first day we got there, they gave us so much time to connect to our cabinet mates, which they had never done in the past. Usually, they just try to fill every bit of time with something to do.
They let us out at like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, they
Usually
gave
we don't
us,
get out
they
till
gave us a
11
little
p.m.
over two hours scheduled, and then it always goes over like another 2 hours. But one of the things I shared was that I was at the point where I wasn't doubting God anymore. I was just doubting myself.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was pretty cool that the whole camp pretty much worked to all of those things. Just like it never even came up to any of the stuff I had done. Like, I love how the whole camp, God never convicted me about anything that he could have, or that could have brought me down, which was really cool for me.
I got the same thing.
Yeah.
I remember last year, I mean, it's impossible not to.
Yeah.
But there's really no, like, there's, oh my gosh, it's like gut wrenching, like, just misery because you knew you screwed up.
Right, yeah.
Jesus died just so you could screw up again and again and again. And so I never got that. It was just God saying, I still love you through it all.
It's amazing.
Today is gonna be a little something more.